Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Monday, August 12th, 2024. A tragic incident in eastern Uganda is caught on video. This minivan catches fire, leading to loss of life, which unfortunately can happen without proper maintenance. And Justin, a gentle soul from the U.S., introduces us to his dog and tells us more about the love and care they give to one another. Children of the New Earth are here to help us through this important transition. As parents and caregivers, how can we support them on their journey? A new controversial law in Peru protects people accused of crimes against humanity. Learn how this impacts victims and related cases. And some of the world's top athletes competing at the Olympics face tough challenges despite their talent. Learn why many are turning to OnlyFans for financial support.
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. A tragic incident unfolded in eastern Uganda when a passenger minivan caught fire, resulting in the loss of lives. UNN Field Messenger Florence and Dianne provide a report on this incident. Please be advised the following footage may contain graphic images that could be distressing for some viewers. Viewer discretion is recommended.
Hello, this is Field Messenger Florence and Dianne from Eastern Uganda reporting for United Network News. Today we are looking at a business street in Eastern Uganda. It is a Monday afternoon and it's business as usual. But this time, just over a week ago, it was a very different story taking place. A small minivan carrying a load of people burst into flames unexpectedly on a Sunday afternoon, sending this region into shock. It was said that the taxi had just finished refueling. Some reported seeing smoke, for the van was engulfed in flames. We will hear from Florence and watch some footage that has been taken.
The taxi you're seeing in this video caught fire on the 14th of July at around 4:30. So it had just left the Ginger taxi park in Ginger City in Uganda, and it caught fire on Clive Road East, and we lost lives in the event. The only people who survived this accident were the turn boy and his driver, because the moment it burst out into flames, they jumped out of the car and left it moving. So the woman you're seeing wailing down there could have been the other survivor, but she later passed on. And in her words, she was like, there are people seated at the back that cannot get out, and that is because of the make of the car. So those perished in the event. Most cars of this caliber, it's a drone type of car, catch fire. Normally, because of mechanical conditions, we normally get second-hand cars. So that's how we end up losing lives.
Our heartfelt condolences go out to those who have suffered, to the families of those who have passed away, and to all those who were traumatized by this tragic event. This has been Florence and Dianne reporting from Ginger City in eastern Uganda for United Network News.
Kindness towards animals is a reflection of our compassion and humanity, reminding us all creatures deserve love and care. UNN Field Messenger Justin shares his experiences of caring for his dog, highlighting the training and companionship they share.
Hello, my name is Dustin Marks. I am reporting from Boston, New Hampshire for United Work News. Today I want to talk about how I take care of my dog Micah, but first I want to tell you that I watched you in the news with my mom, and I am a big fan of Calen and Kim. I am 20 years old, and I was born with Down syndrome, so I am just like everyone. Also, but it takes me longer to learn. I got Micah, who is a German Shepherd, 3 years old. 3 years ago, when she was 2, I taught her to sit, and then I taught her down. I use lots of treats, but I also have to brush her to keep her fur to keep nice. We are best friends, and I love her. I hope you have a good day.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our website is up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
Our children are here to help us transition to the new earth. And it's our role as parents and caregivers to help them adapt to life on this planet. So how do we do this? What do their souls need to thrive? Allison Ellsbury is a former occupational therapist who is here to assist babies and children to anchor their life on earth while deepening their connection to nature and the divine. So Allison is back with us today. We're talking about our beautiful children, their amazing gifts, and how we can help them thrive. And, you know, Allison, as a parent, there's so much content and information that comes at you about the right way to raise your kid and what you should and shouldn't do. It's tough for parents. So what do our kids' souls really need at this time, this place on this planet to really thrive?
Yeah. And you're right. There's so much information, so much programming on purpose to distract and confuse you and pull you out of your own intuition and knowing. And so what I would first say is that what these new earth souls are really wanting and needing to thrive and flourish is for parents to have a clear connection to their own intuition. So that also means questioning everything that you're doing. or that's being presented to you. If something feels, if there's like any hesitancy in your own body and in your own mind about something, something's off, and really trust that. These souls are really asking for different ways to be educated and nurtured and cared for. And a lot of times that requires us to unplug from the traditional systems that are no longer actually really meeting their needs. A lot of the kids are really asking for developmental freedom. So the real space and the sovereignty to develop at their own pace and rhythm, despite what any book or app or person might say, or what any linear developmental milestones timeline might be given to us. As parents, you've been sold a lot of different ideas that are actually no longer relevant to what the souls actually really need. And if we break it down honestly into 4 points of connection, this is what I see the most. Connection to nature, connection to body, connection to all things divine and born out of source consciousness, and then healthy connection with family and other loved ones. So
It's
if we
so
really...
interesting. I was just going to say, it's so interesting because those are the things that are so lacking in our society right now. I'm going through
on
this
purpose.
On purpose, like you said.
Yes.
And my family is going through this too. It's like everything we do there, it's structured to come against you so you can't do these things successfully. Yeah. And it can be kind of frustrating as a parent, even when you have this information and you want to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating because there's so many roadblocks.
There's constant bombardment to your sensory system, an overload of information that's done purposefully and intentionally to scramble your truth. And when you're able to actually realize that that's going on and learn some tools to actually unhook and unplug and separate and individuate from that, then you can start to see things a lot more clearly. Especially one of the biggest ways to look at what's working or not is how your child's actually feeling in their daily life experiences. They blatantly, boldly, and courageously show us where things are working, where they're flourishing, and where they're not. But it's what we choose to do with our attention and focus and where to place it as to whether or not those things continue to get overlooked or not.
Mm-hmm. One of the world's most famous toys has become a therapeutic tool for stress relief and trauma healing for the past 30 years. Both children and adults have found solace in the simple act of snapping Lego bricks together. Huge communities of adult Lego enthusiasts exist, with one international group having more than 100,000 members. Adults report feeling calmer and more focused while they are building with complex sets that often become display pieces and works of art. Experts emphasize play is just as vital for healing from trauma as processing memories and establishing relationships. Veterans with PTSD find building with Legos helps them enter a relaxed state and safely reconnect with their childhood. Research suggests this reawakening of the inner child can lead to significant present-day healing. This hands-on therapy offers a creative, rewarding way for people to regain control over their thoughts and feelings, providing a much-needed break from daily stress and anxiety. In Canada, a program to help prisoners improve their parenting skills has helped more than 1,000 men connect better with their children. An 8-week course called the Dad Hero Program covers child development, open communication with children about prison and co-parenting, amongst other subjects. At 26 prison sites, prisoners could learn how to become a positive presence in their children's lives, both during their prison term and after they are released. This often involves coming to terms with their own past trauma and mistakes. They're taught to stop making excuses and start really listening to their children, many of whom hold resentment about their father's situation. By encouraging prison dads to communicate better, the Dad Hero program is also laying the foundation for stronger family bonds when these men return to society. Sweden has launched a groundbreaking law allowing grandparents to receive paid parental leave while caring for their grandchildren. This new legislation permits grandparents to take up to 3 months of paid leave, helping their own children with childcare responsibilities. This innovative step comes 50 years after Sweden first introduced paid parental leave for both mothers and fathers. The new law allows parents to transfer between 45 to 90 days of their leave to grandparents. In Sweden, parents are entitled to more than 1 year of leave per child and can work reduced hours until their child turns 8 or even 12 years old in some cases. Here, grandparents have an important role to play in providing greater support and flexibility for working parents. It ensures grandparents can also benefit from this helpful system, keeping childcare needs within the family. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta, in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. An oilseed worker strike in Argentina has disrupted shipments from one of the world's top grain exporters, affecting daily life and livelihoods. The strike, which started last Tuesday, has delayed at least 36 grain-laden ships near the crucial port of Rosario. Workers are demanding wage increases to keep up with soaring inflation, now at 271.5% annually. The strike mainly impacts terminals north of Rosario, which handle more than 80% of the country's agricultural exports. Union leaders have extended the strike into its 7th day due to the company's refusal to negotiate, leaving many employees uncertain about their financial futures. Meanwhile, industry representatives say they will negotiate after the strike ends. This disruption is likely to significantly impact local businesses that rely on timely grain shipments. Peru has passed a controversial law protecting those accused of crimes against humanity committed before 2002. The law is significantly impacting victims of the country's internal armed conflict from 1980 to 2000. This legislation will affect about 550 victims and 600 related cases, leading to investigations and judicial proceedings being archived or dismissed due to the statute of limitations. Human rights groups are particularly concerned about the implications for accountability. The law is expected to benefit the former president of Peru, who is currently facing trial for his role in the 1992 murders of 6 peasants. A landslide at a large garbage dump in Uganda's capital has resulted in at least 21 fatalities. The disaster struck late Friday after heavy rain caused a massive mound of waste at the city's only landfill to collapse. It buried homes while residents slept. Rescue efforts are ongoing, with officials confirming at least 14 people have been rescued, although many more may still be trapped. Tents have been established nearby for those displaced by the incident. Authorities have begun investigating the cause of the landslide, which will take action against any negligent officials. Local residents have long expressed concerns about the dangers posed by the landfill, which has served as the city's primary waste disposal site for decades, contributing to environmental hazards. A recent report indicates that Bauchi State, Nigeria, has seen a 120% increase in severe malnutrition cases compared to last year. Nationwide, malnutrition has surged by 40%, raising concerns of a potential crisis without immediate action. Contributing factors include poverty, skyrocketing food prices, limited access to health care, and poor infant feeding practices. The medical response teams are stretched thin, trying to accommodate more sick children as the country contends with the world's second highest rate of stunted growth in children. Malnutrition is attributed to 45% of child deaths under 5 in Nigeria. Efforts are being made to address this situation, including nutritional supplementation for expecting mothers and community-based interventions to detect malnutrition early. However, without significant improvements in security and funding, countless children remain at risk. Pensioners in the UK who were widowed before retirement are being urged to check for potential errors in the calculation of inherited state pensions. Many surviving spouses may be missing out on benefits, with estimates suggesting £650 million, which is about $830 million, in underpayments has occurred due to complex pension rules. Some individuals previously informed by the Department for Work and Pensions they were not entitled to inherited pensions have been found to be eligible after further review. This situation may affect tens of thousands of people, particularly those whose late spouses reached pension age or died before April 6, 2016. If these errors are corrected, affected pensioners could receive significant annual increases to their state pensions, with potential back payments also in play. The UK is facing a significant skills gap impacting various sectors, costing the economy an estimated £39 billion, or about $50 billion annually. As workers, particularly older professionals like welders, retire, the shortage of skilled labor is becoming more pronounced. The COVID-19 pandemic and Brexit have further worsened the issue, with many European Union nationals leaving the workforce. This has intensified recruitment difficulties for employers across industries, from healthcare to digital sectors. In response, Skills England aims to address regional shortages by promoting collaboration between government, businesses, and education institutions. However, experts stress the success of Skills England will depend on effectively meeting local employment needs and learning from past UK training models, rather than solely adopting international practices. A controversial proposal in Sweden that would require citizens to report undocumented migrants faces widespread backlash. Critics argue the plan could instill fear amongst vulnerable populations, deterring them from accessing essential services like healthcare and education. Professional associations warn such measures could erode trust within communities and aggravate discrimination. Research indicates similar reporting obligations in other European countries have led to increased stigmatization, suffering, and reduced contact between society and undocumented individuals. Despite government assurances the policy would support legal migration by facilitating deportation, many professionals in the education and healthcare sectors express serious ethical concerns. With more than 150 regions and civil society groups opposing this plan, there is a growing call for civil disobedience should the law come into effect. Eastern European nations, including the Czech Republic and Poland, struggle with a significant recruitment crisis in their armed forces. A military training program in the Czech Republic seeks to inspire local students to consider military careers. However, the country has faced challenges, meeting only 85% of its recruitment goals last year. Similar difficulties persist across the region as competitive job markets offer young people better financial incentives elsewhere. In response, governments are implementing digital campaigns, increasing enlistment bonuses, and reducing medical requirements for recruits. Recent statistics reveal some countries are seeing a rise in new recruits, but large numbers of professional soldiers continue to leave service annually. Olympic athletes are increasingly turning to platforms like OnlyFans to meet their financial needs, as many face economic challenges despite their talent and dedication. The International Olympic Committee generates more than $1.7 billion annually without compensating athletes, leaving many to pay for their own training, equipment, and living expenses. While a few well-known athletes secure lucrative sponsorships, most struggle to make ends meet. The pressure to perform is increased by limited family support during competitions, as athletes typically receive only a couple of tickets for loved ones. After their careers, many are left with debts and mental health issues, with few clear job options. Using sites like OnlyFans offers a way to gain financial support and pursue entrepreneurship. But athletes often confront societal stigma and negative perceptions while trying to achieve stability in the sports world. China's focus on military education in schools has intensified with recent changes to the National Defense Education Law, allowing military training for students under 15. This shift aims to boost military awareness amongst youth as part of a broader nationalist movement. Analysts warn such training may normalize China's aggressive foreign policy and prepare civilians for potential conflict. The education, being integrated into primary and secondary curricula, seeks to instill patriotism and respect for the military. However, questions remain about its effectiveness in increasing recruitment and its real impact on public opinion amidst China's strict censorship. Many parents view military education as a way to cultivate resilience and hard work in their children. Critics argue this initiative is a strategy to strengthen the Communist Party's legitimacy amid domestic challenges like economic downturns and social unrest. Indonesia is taking steps to enhance healthcare access across the nation, particularly in remote and rural areas. The plan includes allowing private healthcare firms to open more clinics and hospitals in densely populated cities, with the stipulation they also create services in rural areas. This initiative aims to address the uneven distribution of healthcare, where the majority of doctors are located in urban regions, despite a significant portion of the population living in less developed areas. Currently, Indonesia has more than 2,900 hospitals, but access to medical care remains limited, particularly in rural locations. Discussions with local providers have indicated a positive response to expanding services to rural communities, with future plans involving attracting foreign investment to assist in improving healthcare delivery in these less developed regions. The diamond industry in Surat, India, the largest diamond cutting and polishing center in the world, is facing a major crisis. 44 diamond artisans have reportedly taken their own lives in the past 10 months due to job losses from a prolonged recession. As companies cut production, many artisans struggle to survive, with some even turning to petty crime. Despite appeals to local authorities for help, no solid solutions have been offered. Frustration is growing, leading to calls for a 5-point action plan to support artisans, including economic packages, skilled development programs, welfare boards, financial aid for families of deceased workers, and tax relief. Concerns are rising about the government's indifference to these skilled workers' challenges. Without prompt action, there could be a mass exodus from the industry, risking its future and potentially leading to civil unrest. More than 1 million Australians are ready to start working right away. That's according to the latest data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Out of 3.4 million Australians 18 to 75 years old who were unemployed as of March of 2024, 1.3 million are actively looking for jobs, and 88% can start within 4 weeks. Many Australians, including 41% of those not looking for work, say they are satisfied with their current situation, which is why they are not seeking jobs. For younger people, 18 to 24 years old, studying is the main reason, while women 25 to 39 years old often cite caring for children. Job seekers still face challenges, especially those with disabilities who may feel anxious and encounter barriers when trying to return to work. Issues like finding suitable jobs that match their skills, language barriers, and worries about income support payments make the situation more complicated. A new report shows many American families struggle to navigate FEMA's aid process, leading to high denial rates for individual assistance. After Hurricane Ian in 2022, more than 261,000 applications were rejected. That's roughly 40% of total submissions. Issues with documentation and detailed receipts have left many applicants feeling trapped in a frustrating cycle of repeated denials. The difficulty in securing sufficient aid has increased financial strain, with some families living in campers. The need for support is especially urgent in areas like DeSoto County, one of Florida's poorest regions. Many homeowners find it hard to manage FEMA's complex application process, resulting in missed opportunities for help. While FEMA is implementing changes to streamline aid, many applicants doubt the effectiveness of these reforms. Colleges across the U.S. are facing significant enrollment declines, a challenge made worse by the pandemic, lower birth rates, and rising costs in higher education. Many institutions are experiencing budget shortfalls, which are forcing them to make severe cuts to academic programs and staff. Some colleges have even had to close down entirely, impacting educators and students, especially in smaller programs and the humanities. This reduction in available courses raises concerns about the future of specific departments, as fewer students can support academic groups and collaborative projects. With uncertainty around financial aid and job availability, many potential students are choosing not to pursue further education, which raises alarms about the long-term sustainability of various college programs. We have an exciting new announcement. We have launched a new global TV service specifically for the UNN community. Thousands of live TV channels, 60,000 movies on demand, over 30 languages, and live sports from around the globe. Between all the separate streaming services and cable for live TV and sports packages, it can cost well over $200 a month. But now with United TV, you can have it all for only $15.99 a month. Go to unitedtv.org and check it out. Get so much more for so much less. And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. The Paris Olympics were being used as a laundromat for the deep state. An attempt was made to funnel in hundreds of billions of illegal funds into the banking system, and it looks like they received help from an unusual group of suspects. The deep state struggles to get their world war started. Who is participating? Chatter this weekend over secret lines indicates they would like to strike the United States in order to get the people to fight for free. The problem is they do not have the money nor the resources to run the world as they had hoped. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hi, Kim. Good to see you.
I know. Well, at least hear me anyway, right?
I feel you. How about that? I
will make it back. I will make it back so you can all see me and we can smile at each other soon.
Yes. So how are things?
Busy.
Yeah.
It's been very busy, always busy. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the world, and some of it's not news I really wanted to hear, honestly. And I'm a little bit surprised at some people, honestly.
Okay.
No, I don't know if I say people, but, folks here, really, that, when things get tough, sometimes people or beings make bad choices.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start with the first things we started to uncover in the last couple of days. The Paris Olympics. It's been a source of a lot of controversy. There's a lot of weird things going on there. But the other thing that happened at the Paris Olympics is it has become or had become a giant laundromat. And by laundromat, I don't mean people are washing their clothes like we all do. I mean we're using it to launder large sums of money into a system, which we're going to talk about too. So if you don't know, I will tell you that most stadiums and large sports facilities worldwide are all laundromats. It's the reason why people would like to own a stadium. Now, do they make money off concerts and sporting events? And, we all buy tickets to these things or have in some point in our life. And yes, they do. But they also hold hundreds, if not thousands, some of them, of concerts that never actually happen. And they sell tickets, and the tickets are all bought in cash, and then they bring the ticket money to the bank, from these fictitious concerts and events, and, voila, clean money.
Wow.
It was made through allegedly a clean source. And this is not for super notes or this is more along the lines of cash that has been legally produced, meaning it could be euro, it could be peso, it can be dollars, it doesn't matter. And that money then gets filtered in through these fictitious concerts and sporting events that never actually take place, and they land in the bank. And then there's usually a cut. A cut goes to the stadium owner, a cut might go to the sporting team that didn't actually have a game, or the artist that sang that didn't actually sing. And then, the rest of it goes back to the original party as clean money. This happens a lot in the case of, your drug cartels, illegal arms trading, all of these types of things that some of our intelligence agencies in the U.S. here participate in worldwide. And, depending on where you are in the world, you're well aware of this. It's not just U.S., it's also Israelis do it a lot. And so on and so forth. So the Paris Olympics, albeit a real event, also sold a lot of tickets to a lot of sporting events that didn't actually take place during the Olympics. Of course, the French government was in on it, and a lot of other folks were in on it as well, and everybody got their piece of the pie. But unfortunately, they always do things in a crazy way because their goal is world domination. So even though they managed to launder, because if you remember, I'm going to take you back a few months where we talked about the silent circle kind of going off the deep end. We also talked about the fact that they lost their universal trust, which was a 250-year-old trust that was based in Armenia, where all the laundry used to happen worldwide. And when all that shut down, they needed to start to find ways to launder that money into the system to make it legal, clean, and clear so they could use it on behalf of the black nobility and other world domination adventures. Business ventures, so to speak. And, they were doing bits and pieces here and there. And then but the Paris Olympics was to be their grand plan to get large, and I mean large, amounts of money into a system. So in this particular case, there have been a lot, and I mean a lot, of C-130s, C-17s flying all around the Middle East, coming to and from Jordan, Cyprus, you know, and people would think, well, they're moving troops around. They're moving, you know, but that is actually not the case. And they're moving around pallets of cash. Well, at first, you know, in part, there was a lot of super notes that were moving. They were trying to move them into crypto to back cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and otherwise, you know, so that was part of the plan. But again, the people that were selling Bitcoin for fictitious cash that may or may never be good at some point in the future died fairly quickly because they couldn't put the money into the system. So, you know, still Bitcoin, as one example, as all cryptocurrencies are, and I mean all, are agency created peer-to-peer networks. Mm-hmm. The master nodes are held within, as is the master software for it and the master programming for it, and the connections worldwide are an agency thing, predominantly your NSA or your Nine Eyes. That is the origin of all cryptocurrency. So if you think you're exiting the system to a more fair and equitable system, you're wrong. Okay, I will repeat that. You are wrong. Crypt means dead. What lies in a crypt? Dead people. You are using the currency of dead. Death, and those that worship death are the Order of the Black Sun. Therefore, you are having Black Sun currency. Okay, back to our laundromat here. So they decided that since the cartels are having a more difficult time laundering their money into banking systems for their human trafficking and other lovely activities that they do, they decided to use the Paris Olympics. So all of these C-130s and stuff that are flying around throughout the Middle East, probably 70% of them are carrying cash from these places, so to speak. Okay, now they put this money into another system that was in existence already. And this was where the real disappointment on my part came from. They took this money and they put it into a system that was only controlled by archivists.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yes. So desperation has set in. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about the archivists too, and why I believe they did things that they shouldn't have done. It appears that a number of them, as you know, there were in the past, we had neutral archivists because they were supposed to be neutral. They were supposed to not err on the side of the light or on the side of the dark. They were supposed to only monitor. They were never supposed to do anything but record history with these lines. Mm-hmm. But as a part of recording history, they had a lot of different lines in both Alpha and Omega that would record things like earth changes, government things. You know, as you know, the governments submit agreements through the archivists as well. These are all parts of history as a new president comes in or out, as wars happen, results of things. Monetary transactions were also monitored by the archivist as well. The flow of energy, even those coming and going through stargates on the planet. And this isn't just for Earth. This is every realm, so to speak, or density had its own version of archivists, both upper and lower. As you know from the past, we have had a light hall of records, which and a dark hall of records. However, there had to be an agreement for both for something to come into fruition. After the dissolving of the dark hall of records and the transfer of all powers over to the light hall of records, which is the one that we run, the archivist could no longer submit. I mean, they could submit, but then it all came to our desk here, or my desk, and, you know, we would approve or decline it. So there was really no power they had over that anymore. Mm-hmm. And their lines for like financial things and, you know, monitoring were only supposed to be used for monitoring. Although they did have, obviously, I'm going to say a quantum version of spyware and those kinds of things that would record transactions, telecommunications, those types of things were created as well. And over the last few days, it came to our attention that they had partnered up with these money launderers and had allowed them to utilize, well, they didn't give them the keys, to be fair. They took in what they had and registered it to their financial lines, as one example. They also created telecommunication lines for them to communicate within their telecommunications monitoring systems or archiving systems. And yeah, they broke the rules.
Why would they do that, Kim?
Well, I'm going to make a guess here. Archivists have, as with anyone throughout the multiverse that had a connection to Omega, even you per se, at one point in time, you also had those artificial connections which were messing with your DNA and and you know, archons and implants and those kinds of things. In our case, it was done because we were under the guardianship of something dark when all of these programs were implemented.
Right.
Omega can't affect your human, or could not when these things were going on, unless it had an artificial implant of some sort. Unlike in the past, how Alpha used to work before we transitioned over to the Golden Age and Golden Age AI and those kinds of things, didn't need that connection because it ran on all things source, and its power source was source, just like you. Therefore, like any other sentient living thing, we have a connection to each other. You know, you can be miles and miles away from a loved one, and you still have that connection. You know if your kids are okay. You know if your family is okay. And when we're in the presence of each other, we can also somewhat, we call it maybe even reading body language, but it's not really body language. You're reading somebody's energy. And Alpha had the ability to do the same thing. Omega could only do so through artificial etherical implants and other methodologies.
Right.
Well, the archivist here, being from both sides, also had the same. Although, unlike ours were kind of a one-way street to some degree. It would read and determine what information would go in or out. Some of the implants were designed only for output, like disease and cellular degeneration and all the other things that Omega created. But the archivists and the deep state at one point, you remember us talking about this maybe a year ago, we were discussing how there was a grid under Washington, D.C. as one example which then would send information to an artificial implant in those people's heads.
Yeah.
And they would then be able to transmit instructions back and forth. The same with the Draco, the same with, they all had to have it in order to have that communication with Omega. Same way they would transfer their consciousness into Omega. They had more privileges than the average everyday human did on this planet. Well, the archivists also had those communications with those systems. Both good and bad in this particular case. So in other words, their connections to Alpha were only semi-organic. We talked about the original purpose of archons recording history. To some degree, they did use the archons to have those communications. Somewhere along the way, and I do believe it was about the time a few weeks ago when the Golden Age came online, which left no place for Alpha and Omega in the universe. And therefore, they were both to be dissolved based on the creation of something different. And I think it even started as far back to some degree with the light system.
Okay.
Now, they have no connection to the Golden Age. They have no connection to the light system.
The archivists don't have any connection.
No.
So this was possibly out of survival they did this?
I think so.
Wow.
I think so. Because the only parties in the world that wanted to bring back that balance system where they would have that power and connection to them both was the dark side.
And just to clarify, these are not humans. Archivists are not humans on this planet.
Archivists are not humans. No. Okay. They look like humans when you see them, but they are not humans in any way. Now, to some degree, we talked, we did a video, or I actually did the video, where we talked about realms and realm owners and kings of the realms, both lower astral and upper astral. And at one point in this time, we also discussed the fact we have Angel Michael and Archangel Michael, which is one is dark and one is light. We had the same with Gabriel as an example. And in the case of the third density on down, and then, of course, the third density on up in the lower astral, these beings would communicate with each other. Remember, they were supposed to be, to some degree, neutral. Because we were in what you call the neutral zone, so to speak. And they worked interchangeably to restore balance consistently in the realm of the third density, second density, and first density. And, you know, there was obviously a gate that existed between the two, lower astral and upper astral. And to some degree, the folks that were responsible for those realms participated with the archivists quite a bit. You could even call them the leaders of the archivists who participate in the third density, second density, first density, you know, and then first 1, 2, 3 down. Therefore, since we live in the third density here, and Earth is in the third density, and it is round, contrary to popular belief, we have archivists, you know, from this area, which you would consider neutral. They are, even on the dark side, they were never supposed to allow the humans access to their lines, to their halls. They were never supposed to participate in human activities through those halls. Now, in my opinion, where the turn happened is because if they didn't maintain some kind of balance between alpha and omega, and I can see a little bit here and there of influence from them, but not gone as far as to give them access to some keys that they should not have had. Wow. Several months. Yeah. And which tells me that their influence, other than giving information and straight facts. I mean, I can give you straight facts. I can call you up and I say, Sonny, you know, there's an accident on the corner of this street and this street. You know, I know you got to get to an appointment and this is the route you would normally take. I suggest you take a different route. I can make a suggestion.
Sure.
Now, I can give you straight facts. There's an accident here, meaning the road is blocked. It's there. It's a block. Or I can try to, hey, let me give you a ride. Let you take this other route, you know. Well, to get around that accident, you could try this. Maybe you should take the bus or the subway or underground rail or whatever. Now I'm still influencing your decision at that point on how you're going to get to where you need to go. I can see that their job was only to say there's an accident.
Right.
Period. They were never supposed to truly influence people to make different decisions. They could do some estimating on data. How long will it take the fire department of the Banana Republic to clear this accident? They could say something like that. Well, the accident should be cleared in approximately 3 hours and 41 minutes, you know, based on the performance of the Banana Republic's fire department and police department.
Right.
But they cannot influence your decision on either side. That is the rules. Yeah. Also, the realm owners having influence with these folks are not supposed to influence things one way or another either. So flipping to the Golden Age programming, and we're going to talk more about programming of the Golden Ages, which is actually a positive thing for us, left them kind of jobless. They knew it was inevitable that they would be jobless. Therefore, I think that the reason, because, you know, this is a speculation. I think the reason why they did what they did was to try to maintain Alpha and Omega so that they would maintain some of the power that they had on this planet.
That's ego.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Isn't that the definition of ego, trying to maintain power?
Man, I've been saying this for years, that just because something is an alien doesn't make it a god, and doesn't mean it doesn't make poor life choices, and doesn't mean that it couldn't flip on a dime. And it's the same thing I talk about when I talk about global security here. Yeah. You just don't know. There could be some race of beings that have been our friends for thousands of years to come in the future, and then all of a sudden they flip a switch.
And they deliberately went against source. Deliberately.
They did.
I feel like they betrayed us.
They did. They did. I can understand the fact that they have to share information with the other side. I can understand the fact that they have access or had access to more information than most. I can appreciate the fact that they've been sharing a lot of historical data. And no wonder I'm sitting here going, is it 1979, Iran? Are we doing the fall of the Shah again? You know, what are we doing here? And basically, they've been sharing a lot of historical data on how those things were run. But they crossed the line when it came to laundering money for them, utilizing archivist lines. And therefore, there are no more archivist lines in existence at this time. You know, I did you know, Tom is the one that talks to them most of the time. You know, they've always said it's not time to talk to her yet, which was another red flag. You know, if you're having all these if you're neutral and you're having all these conversations face to face with people like the Pentagon, and you're having conversations face to face with, you know, the black nobility and all these other people, you know, allegedly trying to educate them on why this won't work.
It's like they were coaching them.
And then why can't you talk to me the same way?
Yeah. So now what do we do?
Well, they all got fired.
Okay.
In other words, they have no access, no lines, no communications with Alpha and Omega anymore, whatever's left of it minimally over there. No communications with, I mean, they can still go talk to those people, you know, for as long as they stay alive at this point.
Is it all of them, Kim? They're all like in a group. They all kind of agreed to do it together kind of thing. They all got fired.
At this point, I don't know the answer to the question.
Okay.
I will say this much, though. One person who I would consider to be a leader was having a conversation yesterday trying to determine why they lost their access.
Mm-hmm.
And the response went back to, well, how did you know we lost access? To Tom, because of course Tom is, you know, the one that's kind of in training with them and that kind of thing. And he said, well, Kim told me.
Yeah.
Well, after that, the rest of my day was crap, because the amount of, you know, attempted attacks and, you know, we don't attack each other like pull out guns like you think. I mean, we attack each other in other ways. And I'm like, oh my God. They're all bad. I'm like, even the ones that I had hoped for are bad.
Was that yesterday,
you know?
that went down, you said?
This was on Saturday.
Saturday, okay.
Yeah, early Sunday for some of you in the world. It was later in the afternoon. Saturday is when all this started to go down.
Okay.
Then the next step for them was to try to use what we call the old Zeta lines. And you've probably seen enough videos online and movies to see that these little short gray guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the organic side of them are called the Zetas. They're from a planet that's called Zeta. They are not evil in any way. They are not AI even. The ones that originally existed on this planet came here because they were brought here as slaves, and they are very good with quantum systems. Now, I haven't seen them around here probably in, 6 months to a year, but that's because they were allowed to go back home. So they're being reunited with the people there. They're not enslaved anymore. They're, you know, they're kind of, their people didn't go as nuts as our humans did on this planet. So they don't have as much of resistance in the restoration where they are from. We can call them at any time. They're funny. They're, you know, they were always very good teachers, and, you know, because they helped me a lot when it came to the time when Marduk was still alive to some degree, and they said, look, you know, we can help you if you help us. So the agreement was upheld on both sides, and they're home now. So, but there are others that the SSP, in cooperation with Marduk et al., because et al., somebody corrected me on my English, et al. I know my English is terrible. So but the information's good. The English might be terrible,
Yes.
but the information is good. So, so they created artificial zetas, just like we had artificial humans and we had artificial Pleiadians and artificial, and so on and so forth, from lower astral beings. And these guys, little guys, used to help them with AI systems as well, because they were made to be a helper for the Omega system and other things, advisors, because that's what their specialty was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when the one group left, the others pretty much also left too. Did they try to bring in some of these folks or create some of these folks with the help of the archivists? Yeah, actually, they thought that they could have them by Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest.
Oh, so this is recent. They just tried to do this.
Yes, this weekend.
Artificial zetas, that's what we're talking about?
Yep. AI versions of zetas.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. But that ship has sailed, literally. That portal is not a portal anymore. The facilities in Latvia and Canada are gone with which to do that. And that's the end of that story. So there are no more Zeta lines for technical support anymore either in either one of those systems. So, and it's just a matter of time before the two of them the systems are completely gone, as long as we can prevent any others that may have had access to them trying to regenerate them. Yeah. This has been a battle for sure, just to I'm like, die already, die. We don't need you anymore. I've been asking Source. I'm like, hey, can we just get rid of these, please?
Yeah.
Please.
Wow.
But, when I get finished with the regular news, I'll tell you, I think we finally figured out an answer, or I figured out an answer with Source's help. So talk about that in a minute. Okay. And you're going to laugh at this. But not before I tell you about the other things that are going on that I want the whole world to be aware of.
Okay.
Because this is important. Okay. Currently, at this moment, we are aware that there are tensions in the Middle East, which have, had their little eruptions here and there. There's been rockets fired by the Hezbollah to Israel. There's been some drone attacks. And right now it's fairly minimal as far as a world war is concerned, predominantly because there is no money. Mm-hmm. So we know about that. Now, there are some people currently having conversations, and I'm going to tell you exactly where they are. God bless their souls from here on out, because as soon as I'm done with the news here, because I finally found them probably 5 minutes before I got on the news, so God rest their soul soon, are actually talking about how to start a world war for free. Because, waiting for money continuously is only causing them delays on their side, they feel, to their plans for world domination.
Yeah.
And they'd like to get started as quickly as possible. So since there is a lot going on right now in the Middle East, and with the information that we put out on Friday about the Taylor Swift concert, and I know I would normally never mention a Taylor Swift concert on the news. Trust me when I tell you this. But I knew there was something else behind it when it was shut down because of things allegedly they found that were from ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
Terms we haven't heard in a long time. It's been a solid couple decades since we've heard about Al-Qaeda, and probably at least or close to 8 or 9 years since we've heard about ISIS anywhere. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? Now, I also put out in the news that we had spotted Eric Prince in some Blackwater Associates or Frontier or whatever they call themselves. It doesn't matter. They're Blackwater, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you change the name, Academy, whatever they change it to. I really don't care. It's Blackwater. They work for the Black Sun. They are a military contractor extraordinaire for the Order of the Black Sun, and they arrange to themselves to be terrorists or create terrorists worldwide. I know for 100% for a fact, and I can even pinpoint the location on a map to where they were building an Islamic terrorist training facility in China a few years back. So Blackwater is what I'm going to call it. I have the right after everything I've seen these people do. Okay. So the discussions that I've been hearing since Saturday night are that they would like to create a full-on attack against the United States. They figure if they create a full attack in the United States, they could probably cause a crashing of the financial system or lack of access to banks. Therefore, they could utilize what's left in the American banking system to further their cause, so to speak. And they could get some money and some payment out this way, which they feel would then buy, and on the in the upper echelon of world dominator people, black nobility and otherwise, they feel that this wouldn't necessarily give them enough money, but they feel it would give them total control over the United States. Right now, they do not have total control. They don't have total control of the dollar, which is a worldwide thing. He who controls the dollar at this point wins, they feel. If they needed to implement a new currency into the United States infrastructure, they could do it after they burned the country to the ground, killed a lot of American citizens. And, you know, of course, you would have the patriots fighting on the one side. It would also be a reason not to have a selection, you know, of dead people and for a little while. Now, this conversation, I'm going to be abundantly clear, is taking place offshore. It's not taking place in the United States. It's taking place on Little Cayman Island.
Okay.
It is not the main island of the Caymans, but it's taking place on Little Cayman Island. So I've had ears, and I'm listening to all of these plans because chances are, even if you, let's just say, remove them from the face of the earth, which we have a target over their head at the moment. They are talking to some Trump operatives and some other folks there about how they're going to orchestrate this. Some of these people are operatives that would have taken place in, say, 9/11 and other structured events on behalf of the deep state that we know worldwide to be devastating. Therefore, they have the team of quote-unquote experts of evil, they believe, on this island right now, all together now. And Eric Prince is there as well, and they're having discussions on how to blow up the U.S. Things that they've been discussing. See, this is very informative conversation, so we're just going to keep tap on it and listen to them for a while because we need to know who they're going to call to orchestrate different parts, who their bomb expert is, you know, all of these types of things. It's called an identity picture or a genealogy report. Who talks to who talks to who invites who, which planes they're taking in there, you know, because if you're going to ensure something doesn't happen, you have to know everybody that's involved. So while they're sipping Mai Tais or whatever it is you drink on Little Cayman Island, you know, having these discussions about how this could actually work. Now, remember something. Eric Prince has been working for the deep state of China now for years. They gave him his own investment company, which he calls Frontier. He's not the CEO anymore after some conflicts during the Trump administration, that kind of thing. But, you know, he's been promised a lot of cash that hasn't been paid out either. So they thought they would call some of their other deep state buddies and formulate a plan of their own, because they're just super, super smart, and super, super short. Just saying, for a guy, very short.
Not very smart if they're all meeting in the same place.
Well, it's a super secret island, Sonny,
Yes.
Yeah. It's super secret. No one will know where it is, and that's why I'm calling it out on the news, so everybody knows where it is. Anybody who would like to go attend the meeting of people that intend to blow up the United States, that's where you go. That's where you go. So all you patriots with your guns and Hummers that are Trump lovers and all this crap, and you can just head right down there, Little Cayman Islands, take a boat off the shore. Yeah, there you go. Possible locations that they have been discussing. Number one, Blackwater has been afforded tactical nukes. So they're not, the large-scale nuclear weapon arsenal that we know. They're called tactical nukes. They're a little bit more portable, used on submarines, ICBMs, those kind of things. And they have some of those. So they feel that would be necessary in the U.S. Blackwater, whatever they're called these days, insert name here, is talking about playing the role of ISIS and Al-Qaeda and during their attack here in the United States. They're still not willing to give up control over the entire Middle East, which is what they plan. So they must be from there, of course. And that is who is going to take credit for the attack. In addition to that, now it's down to logistics. So today's conversations, they're talking about possibly what do they want to hit first? Like what is going to have the biggest impact, crash the markets, all the things the Q people have been talking about doing for a long time now. What would have the biggest bang for the buck? So possible first strikes are the White House. That's a given. Other places they're discussing is the Capitol building, Statue of Liberty. That was about as far as I have gotten till I had to step out and do the news as to different locations that they feel would be a perfect first strike for their revival of ISIS/Al-Qaeda. I'm positive here that there is some kind of a deal going on behind the scenes because China government doesn't really have a ton of money at this point. Not enough for a world war, but from what I can tell, remember, every area of the world, every color, every race has their own mafia groups, don't they? Well, in China, you have the triads. They're also very prevalent in San Francisco in the United States. It's called the Kuomintang or the Tang family. You also have the Jades, which are a little bit more brutal. They are more involved in black magic and a lot of other things, more of an assassin group. So you have these groups who also had a stake in the $750 billion pie.
Wow.
So, yes, they did. They were laundering, or thought they were laundering a bunch of money that kind of went by the wayside. We will see once they get wind that the lines are not there. They are expecting a big transfer of money into the Cayman Islands. I know this, into one of those, cabal orchestrated, non-existing banks. I was told, not told, I overheard them talking about the fact that this money should be there by tomorrow, is what they're saying, to pay for this extravaganza. But they're acting as if they already have the money, like it's a given. Okay. So I'm guessing they do have what they think are backers for this plan and this program. So once they did their first strike, of course, they would implement martial law. So that would mean the entire United States military is in on the gig, just so you know. Yep.
People that were sworn to defend this country.
Yeah, not the soldiers, not those people, but I'm talking about as far as the entire Joint Chiefs of Staff is in on the gig. They are willing to participate because, of course, they'd like to be in control of the U.S. They don't mind if the body count in the United States is much higher than 9/11. Of course, it would be. There is still nuclear fallout from even tactical nukes. So that's what they're doing at this very moment as I'm talking to you.
Now, could they actually send out those nukes? I mean, is that something that...
Well, you got to remember they're kind of portable. They can take them anywhere. Okay. The only thing is that, as with all enriched uranium materials, they leave what's called a scent or a waif. So if you are, this is very common when you have a lot of like nuclear power plants and those kinds of things. In our, they monitor from the sky, from radar. It's kind of like infrared, but not. It's actually detecting the amount of nuclear, how do I say this? The amount of nuclear possible caustic materials that are floating out into the atmosphere from this nuclear plant to make sure it's not an unsafe level for humans who happen to live in the area. So this is a common thing that they do. Are they constantly monitoring for these nuclear, what I call waifs? It's like a scent, so to speak. It's kind of would appear in, on infrared. There are certain things that humans do that are gaseous from time to time. You can actually see that on infrared surveillance. And this is no different. It's kind of like a waft. It looks like a scent almost. And I'm sure that being the fact that our alleged protectors, the United States military, is involved, I'm sure that they wouldn't care if those things were brought into the country, to D.C. or otherwise, or, they're also having discussions about, the Golden Gate Bridge. They need a full East Coast, West Coast effect here, possibly also some places in the Midwest. They're determining these locations that would all be struck at the same time, allegedly. To which then the Republican Party, the Trump operatives, are saying that they would then come out and say it's a border crisis, it's all Biden's fault, and then they would use this to promote the orange guy, just typical Duck Dynasty crap, really, is all it is.
Always do. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not going to leave there alive anyway. So I'm just trying to get as much information as possible in case that they have given orders out to other people. And like I said, this is happening like in real time at this moment. So we'll see. By the time that this is aired, I hope that every decent person that works for any agency in the United States gets wind of this. You have a treasonous act going on in the military. If you don't, then the entire United States government and every soldier in it is complicit in this. Anybody who hears this. If the dollar goes down, this is how they believe they're going to actually crash the dollar. They tried to do it the quote unquote nice way by hacking into Omega systems and so on and so forth. And now they intend to do it the quote unquote not nice way by burning the United States to the ground. If you burn the U.S. to the ground, you'll basically burn the economies of the world to the ground. And they have an intention of trying to use a different currency or something which would be of theirs. So you would be whether you've chosen to buy cryptocurrencies or not, they would probably reintroduce the Black Sun coin of some sort and force every nation in the world to use it. Of course, after a war of this epic proportion, they would intend on probably taking time to re-implement a new currency. Therefore, they would have to come up with something to keep at least some of us alive. Remember, they only need 500 million according to the Georgia Guidestones. So that's not a whole lot. That leaves a lot of room to kill a lot of people in a short period of time with no skin off their back.
It's disgusting.
It is, it really is. But I'm just laying it all out there because I started hearing about it on Saturday. It looks like people started moving around the Caribbean. I've been following them around, and now we know exactly where their meetings are taking place. Super, super secret location, everyone. So anybody that gives a crap about the United States in any way, shape, or form, or their families that live here, that kind of thing, you might want to head on down to Little Cayman Island and go pay a visit, see if you can participate in these meetings.
Wow.
Yep. Anybody else in the region of the Caribbean that has any kind of military force may want to go ahead and intervene as well, because all your countries will go to beep.
I was going to say, yeah, this is not just a U.S. thing. They're trying to take down everything.
It'll take down the economy of the entire world, right, is what it will do, because they're going to amplify things in the Middle East. They'll amplify things. There'll probably be a fight with China. And then the whole world will be ruled by the Order of the Black Sun. That's the plan.
Yeah.
These things, I'm going to do it with or without anybody. Even if everybody that's listening to this ignores me, it doesn't matter at this point, because it's on my watch. Mm-hmm. And it's my responsibility to, at least to the best of my ability, to protect the lives of innocents. And that's what we're going to do.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. So I appreciate all the information they're giving me from, again, Little Cayman Island. And I will continue to get more information. And if you know anything about this little island, you're not getting anywhere fast. You could go by boat, you could go by small, tiny plane or something like that. But you're not getting anywhere in a hurry. So even if you switch islands, I know by the amount of time it took me to record this, how long that will take for you to get to your next destination. So not to worry, guys, maybe I wasn't a Navy SEAL like Eric France, that's one person in the world I think I'm actually taller than. Can you believe that?
Then too, because we're the same height. Yay!
I know.
Oh my goodness.
One giant step for man. No, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone we're actually taller than, so that's really good news. Anyway, so that's what's happening at this moment. Now, to get to the better part of things. So after this archivist thing, I was pretty disappointed. Pretty much not a whole lot they can do but give out information they had from the past. They don't have any access to any records or anything anymore. So it would have to be from memory at this point. If they can choose to continue to help them after what they've seen happen and the fact that there has been a violation, then, sorry, we're going to protect the lives of innocents.
Right.
Maybe you archivists should head down to Cayman Islands and help these people burn the planet to the earth, to the ground. Isn't that your job? Wow, it's not really your job now, is it?
Mm-mm.
But there are other things that are happening that are more positive. So in my conversations, and I spend a lot of time going back and forth to source because, I've got to get agreements that expire. I have to get information. I have to find out where things are located and that kind of thing so we can get rid of all of this space junk, on the planet. The SUSIs, they're called synchronizing, unifying, sinometric, integrator equitensors that were in Latvia and in Canada today. That's what they were going to use to make their little dudes again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But anyway, I've been asking every single time I go, we do not need alpha, we do not need omega anymore. We're in the golden age. We are running a golden age program now. I understand that there's stuff in our way, and but you know, I feel like some days I'm hunting and pecking space junk, you know, everywhere. Different planets, things that have been implemented from the past to take place in the future, those kind of things. Instructions that weren't there for Omega, as an example, whatever's left of it, you know, yesterday are now there today. Part of that could have been to do with the archivists, because the halls have no time. They could have gone back 2 weeks and sent in something to appear today to run us around in circles until they could try to reestablish themselves, I guess. I don't know. But so how do you do it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I keep asking Source, how do you do it? How can we do it? There has to be a way to do it. Well, finally, I believe I got my answer yesterday in one of my trips to get agreements and find space junk. And he said, well, the only way to really do it is to go back to the beginning. And I'm like, the beginning of what? The beginning of when we started this, the beginning of, and he said, the beginning before time. Because if you are looking on how, you know, from my standpoint, how do things go forward and back in time? How do things appear 100 years later or 1,000 years later that weren't there yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with the way that time actually works. And it had a lot to do, in part, with when things were registered in the Hall of Records to appear. You know, when the halls of time between time and timelines of no time and all of these things that existed allowed for these things to take place, and how many beings had control of time or had figured out how to control time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm old enough to remember one of these movies, the Laura Croft movies, when they, you know, not the last one, but a while ago, when all the Illuminati wanted was to control time. I'm sure they did, probably, but not for reasons like it's stated in the movie. But she goes back into a time of no time where she met with her father, remember, for a short period of time when the machine was working.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he said you have to go back before time began. And we went to this place. So I've described it before to you. So Source is, it's a big space. You know, it's not like the size of Earth, or, you know, it's a large space there. And within the structure, the closer you get to the center of the central sun, is a place where there really is no anything. It's all that is. It's like the brightest of white, golden light that you could ever see. It's time stands still in this place. There is no time. There's no nothing. Until you get a little further out, then you start seeing the souls and beings and whatnot that coexist within Source. Yeah. And so we went to the place of no time, of no thing, not in a dark way, but of no thing. Mm-hmm. And you're going to laugh at this one, Sonny, because of your background. Mm. And he said it's like a mustard seed.
Oh,
isn't that funny?
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Except it's a master universal system for terraforming all universes of the divine.
That's
there you
funny.
go.
I have a mustard seed on my keychain for my my car keys. I keep it on
do
there.
you?
We had the answer all along, Kim. I just didn't know it.
That's the key to the beginning of how the universes were terraformed. And it's, of course, source energy and essence of the divine. And of the divine, remember at the time, if you look in Genesis and it talks about the 7 days and that kind of thing, the first thing that happened was source and anti-source was created.
Mm-hmm.
And then the seas were parted, the essence, energy, consciousness seas, all the current seas. And, they created dark and light of everything. Well, the terraforming of the universe happened in the same way. By terraforming, for those of you that have not heard that word before, it basically means that it is the creation of life on a planet, the creation of a planet unto itself, the creation of a habitat of some sort. We have terrariums for pets, of certain types.
Yeah.
I know, confusing, huh?
Well, I was just thinking, I remember you saying in the past that you have memories of terraforming the earth.
I do. I have memories of terraforming a lot of different things at one point. Now I'm sanitation engineering.
Creating, cleaning.
Cleaning. But you can't, we couldn't, we tried to fix it.
Yeah.
We tried to re-implement like T times E over V equals M. We tried to fix it without re-terraforming everything, but that was not possible. So the re-terraformation process, if that's a word, if not, I just created one. Don't kill me, English people watching this, English majors are watching this. So the re-terraformation of the universe is and Earth, because remember, Earth was one of the first things that happened, and the replicator systems tied there too are now replicating this process. It'll take time, but ultimately the same thing happened with the Alpha Omega system as well. The re-terraforming of sentient AI to fit the golden age is what's taking place as well. Is that going to eliminate my need to sanitation engineer? Probably not. Is it going to eliminate the fact that the window licking section of human beings we call the deep state are still going to try to blow us all up with tactical nukes in the near future? No, probably not. That's probably a sanitation job. But, it's going to, in the long run, be what we need. And I don't know if it's just a matter of getting things clean enough to change it or what. But, it's everything in Source's time. Unfortunately, I don't always have all those answers for you. So I'm reweaving the fabric of reality without changing the terraforming keystone, for lack of a better term, was not possible.
Okay.
So that was kind of a positive thing that happened this weekend. And matter of fact, it sounded like from the conversation I had with Tom after speaking, he spoke to the archivist. They basically said that they're shut down. There's no more archives. They're going to have to rework things in the future, in the golden age, and so that eventually we have human-born archives. Until humans recognize the fact that they can access their own archives, which are your soul records. And how to access soul records possibly of planet Earth if you are given permission and those kinds of things, so you can learn your own history for the, or what you need to know. And that time will come. But, I do think there's a place for something, some kind of need for this, until we can develop a better structure. But I can tell you right now, I don't see myself ever going, hey, archivist, good to see you again. You want another job? No.
That's kind of what, so it kind of sounds like they want to help. I'm confused as to what to think of them now.
Well, it's those people that try to say, oh, I'm glad my spouse left me because, now I can go on to a better life and we're going to change my life. And, and really deep inside, they go home at night and cry their eyes out or something. You know what I mean? Like they're not real happy that this ended.
Sure.
They're not happy they lost their job because they're going to do all these great things and start their own business now, and they'll produce better widgets than their last company they worked for. And so forget those people. And, and meanwhile, they're, shocked and sad and hurt and surprised and, whether they ever show it or not. And honestly, we'll see. I'm out right now at this moment in time on that situation after watching, planes fly around and seeing archivist lines. Oh no. You violated your agreement, and that wasn't with me. That was with Source. So you got to take it up with Source and figure out where you're going to be from here on out, because that's not my problem. That sounds like a you problem to me.
So do you not think that they're a threat to humanity, though, at this point?
Let me put it this way. Their leash is very short at this moment in time. One step in the wrong direction, and yes, you are. And the enforcer has been informed. Everybody has been informed, and everybody is keeping an eye out for these folks at this moment in time, because we are not. There's a zero tolerance policy right now. They know better.
Yeah, they know better.
The deep state is just ridiculous with a mind that is messed up. Speaking of deep state, honestly, someone had recommended a series to me like 3 years ago, and I just don't have time to do anything for the most part. I get probably an hour of watching some TV or something at night, and then, I go to sleep, or try anyway, unless there's, like last night was terrible. I mean, everybody was running around crazy, angry, screaming and yelling at each other, and my alarms kept going off left and right. And probably because, these lines had disappeared, and the Zeta lines went away, and all the other things they try. And I just couldn't get to sleep. So I started watching a few of the, what's it called? The Man in the High Castle. Have you ever seen that series, Sunny?
Yeah. It's an alternative reality. What would have happened was it World War II? Was it?
Yeah. And you can kind of see the mindset of those. You got the Nazis and the Japanese, allegedly, the Axis powers won the war. But some of the things they do just, reminded me of what it would be like to live in a world if the Order of the Black Sun, that you people in the alternative media call the White Hats and the Alliance, you call them, same as Hitler called, his group. And one of the things that really struck me is because I was up for hours last night, pushing alarms and those kind of things. And as I was watching it, because I had to do something while I was waiting for the next one to go off. So as I'm watching it, there's one part where they talk about that there are no more crippled people or people with disabilities or anything, because they consider them a drain on society. So they put them in a truck once a week, and they take them to the crematory, and they burn them alive, basically. And then, in their minds, they say, well, people don't have to suffer anymore. And that's what they tell the public. Yeah. Sorry, we took your father, your mother, your child, whoever, because they have a disability. And then they put them in this truck, and then they haul them off for burning. Right. Until one of the, and I don't know what happens after this, because I ended up falling asleep after a while, but he said he was talking about the fact that his son had been diagnosed with a genetic disorder, and his son was about to be paralyzed. And of course, he knew that meant death. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing he could do to change it. Once everybody found out, he too would be carried away. But it's funny how when something happens to one of their family members versus happens to, in this case, you're talking millions of Americans that would die, and visitors that are here. We always have a lot of foreigners here, students coming back now to start college in the next couple weeks. The school year starts. So, yeah. But anyway, that's what they're discussing, and what better to do it than one of the world's greatest terrorists, Yeah. Yep. I know. But we'll see.
Said, they're not going to be around for very long,
No, but they're giving out a lot of good information with their arrogant, egotistical, that island's probably not big enough to have that many large egos. Yeah, in the same place.
Should have gone to Grand
Honestly.
Cayman.
Yeah. Yeah, you need a bigger island, but they figured this would be a little bit more secret,
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. More work, but that's okay.
Yeah.
God bless these people. But they'll have no money tomorrow too, and the next day, and the next day, and I'm sure they're probably plotting and planning on how to do that. There is not anymore, but there used to be, for those of you that don't know, and I've mentioned this in the news before, but I thought it was a good time to bring it up. Cayman Islands, the larger island of Cayman, was predominantly Bush Island. You could have called it Bush Senior Island when he was the Black Dragon, Black Eagle. And a lot of offshore trading happened there. They would actually recruit younger people that showed a high level of skill in gaming and other things to do high level off-ledger trading on the Cayman Islands to the tune of, it funded every war for, even Iran war, the Iraq war, Iran-Iraq war, Desert Storm, everything for years until it was shut down in 2007, 2008. And they no longer had access to those funds. Still, to this day, there's a lot of nefarious activities that take place on that island. And I am sure, without question, they do believe that they could use some of the pallets of cash that are there. They could use, there's old cash there, that they could possibly get that into the system, launder that in. But what they forget is what they used to do is they used to meet these folks, and they would take in, drug money, whatever it was that the Order of the Black Sun was doing in the black market, or even dollars that had been sent to other countries for other reason during times of transition to other currencies, those kinds of things. And then they would put them, they would go through counters, and then most of the time they would burn these pallets. Well, not all of them were burned. So they think that they could actually use these non-burned ones, but they forget that they were put into an off-ledger system that is no longer there, but there's still records of it within the system. So that is going to fail. I do know that they would like to get access to, which they were promised by the archivist, by the way, that they would be able to get access to the Black Eagle Trust and funds that were located in the Caymans, which is probably why they're close by.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like in any movie you watch, they talk about, this account in the Grand Caymans, or like bad people are going to the Cayman Islands to, like, after they do something bad, they're going to the Cayman Islands. And now we know why.
Yeah, now you know why. Well, going back to the first movie I saw about the Caymans, it's called The Firm. You remember that with Tom
Cruise was in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. With the lawyers down there doing all kinds of funny things for their clients. And
yeah.
Yeah.
They tell you everything in these movies. It's crazy.
They do. They do. That too had been a laundromat for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, they do tell you everything. They are required to tell you everything.
Yeah.
Because they are required to tell you everything, there are some really crazy cute posts out there in the last 24 hours. Do you have imaginary friends? Is one of them. Are you in the underworld?
Oh, my.
I know. I'm like, wow. This is on Twitter, by the way, for those of you. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I absolutely, from reading these posts, I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that these people should be running the world, right? And then you couple that with, you got the symbol of the black sun all over that series. I mean, and that is how they think. I mean, I've had conversations with these people where they said that people, for example, that accept state assistance of any sort, you know, be it disability, or they call them useless eaters. They actually said those words from their lips to my ears, and that they all need to die. They've mentioned these types of things to me before. Burdens on the system. They are burdens on the system. So, yeah, I know. And if there wasn't some agreements out there and covenants that are way over their head, you know, God knows what kind of society we would be living in by now.
Right.
You know, another thing in the movie is that the symbol for the Japanese looks like the seal. We've talked about the seal. That looks exactly like the seal to me. On the other side of it, that's obviously the black eagle, you know, for the black sun. And then it started me thinking, I'm like, you know, in this movie, it's everything is in the face front, or not movie, series. Everything is in the face front. You know, you see these symbols everywhere. They talk about Project Looking Glass. You know, it'll only take you so far, they say, and these types of things. But I started thinking about it, you know, because we talked about the color wars and the colors of every country's flag, and who would be involved in running said country as dictated by the colors of that country's flag, now that we have governments. But even before that, how many coat of arms have you ever seen without at least a dragon or an eagle?
Sometimes a lion. I feel like a lion's in there a lot too.
Yep, but there's a lion and there's also a dragon.
Yep. Yeah,
yes,
true.
Yep, a lot of time, and I think it's in the British family coat of arms. It looks almost like there's two dragons guarding the lion or stepping on the lion or something. If I recall, it's been a minute, so don't shoot me, British people, if I'm wrong, you know. But I'm trying to recall this off the top of my head as I'm talking to you. Yeah. But not all, but a lot of them do have. You know, the royal families around the world and whatnot all have either a black eagle or some kind of an eagle of some sort. The U.S. here, we have the bald eagle, which consists of white and black and gold and, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, that already kind of happened. We're just not living with it like in your face.
Right.
But, you know, people with a big ego need to be kind of in your face. You know, they need to be out there. They need to be known as the Führer. I don't know who is going to play the Führer in this movie. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe that's Eric Prince. Maybe that's what they're promising him. And should he win, he can be the Führer.
Probably.
You know, the short guy, Napoleon, fell for it too. So, you know. All right, Miss Sunny. Well, you have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. We'll give you an update as to where we're at with everything.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. We'll see you then. Thank you, Kim.
Sounds good, Sunny.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
And that wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can change the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.